We finally have a status quo change in the season and in the episode because Rhaenyra goes from crying in bed again to finally sitting atop the Iron Throne.
Being a little bit cryy.
Yeah, this definitely is the finale that never was.
The one I was saying, it would have been the finale if we had had the full 10.
We'll just dive straight in because there's a lot of random little things that happen in this episode, but we'll deal with the main stuff first. It does end on a more interesting shot than just Rhaenyra sitting on the throne, I'll give him that, because it's Alicent rocks up and is like, oh no, I've been captured.
I kind of rolled my eyes because it was like, she sees her dad there dead, and I went, oh no, not another misunderstanding.
I was annoyed that Otto got dragged out just to get killed. Daemon goes down to the dungeon and is like, a gift from Larys. I'm like, hey, that's kind of fun because Larys is always playing both sides. He's the only one that's allowed to scheme in the show. And then they pull out Otto. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't expect this. I totally forgot. And then he's just gone now.
I'm pretty sure in the book, when he is de-handed, he hangs around still. Basically, you went off book for nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, right, I know he's on some Apple TV show.
They went out of their way to remind us he existed just for this episode. And if this was just 2 episodes later, it's just a strange choice.
And I think it's a bit of a shame because considering he was such a key player, for him to just reappear, to be taken out, will probably be disappointing for some people, even though event-wise it is what happens in the book. His presence wasn't felt in season 2 after, episode 3 or 4.
Yeah, he has that great scene where he says, I'm leaving, and then he's done.
That's kind of it.
But let's dive in from the start with Rhaenyra's storyline. So Jace is dead. Jace gets dragged back to Dragonstone by Baela, and Rhaenyra cracks. Like, she's gone cuckoo crazy town for a little bit there.
I did like it that there was, it's fairly heartbreaking. Going like, what have you done? And all that. It was good. I'm sure Emma Darcy was relieved to actually maybe have something to do with this character. Not just get off Dragonstone permanently, but to actually, physically act a certain way.
And reading the season script, knowing that she actually does, she's in King's Landing now, and she's hanging out with Alicent, so we don't need to do anything fucky with, secret meetings. She can actually just do stuff. But I was pretty disappointed to find her immediately devolve into bedridden Rhaenyra again.
I was like, oh, here's book Rhaenyra, because this is basically what she's been, at least what the book says she's been for this whole time anyway. So to just throw her back in the bed, I mean, I know she just learned another son has died, but for her to just be thrown back in there, and Daemon's like, come on, I've
seen Game of Thrones. We've got to get up. We've got to get up, babe.
Yeah, it's funny that they reaffirm. So not only did he affirm to her back in episode 8 of season 2, he's now definitely reaffirmed to her just 2 episodes later, which makes it interesting for us book fans exactly where all this is going to go in just a few episodes. With Daemon now being here and being completely on side with her, it's just interesting.
The moment snapped kind of for me as soon as she wasn't going to kill Sir Lawrence or whatever his name was, that very obviously betrayed her. Why he was alive even before this moment, because he locked her in a room. She should have got out of the room, been upset. But they kept her locked in the room until this episode, when she then goes to the library, because again, library's a great set.
It would seem all her counsel as well allowed it to happen, was what she was saying. I was locked in my room and no one...
Yeah, we do the zoom out to the council, and they're all like, what's that loud noise echoing through these halls?
Yeah.
And so that was dumb. But then she's like, killing you won't bring my son back. Yes, that's sensical, obviously, just killing everyone that works for you. You can't just be the evil villain, you failed me for the last time.
Yeah.
But she just refuses to kill, and it comes back again at the end when she's looking at Otto, and she's like, I can't do it. That scene where Daemon's whispering to her, this is the moment you become queen.
Yeah.
That scene went on for a while of her feebly holding a sword. It kind of points to the whole show for me at the moment with Rhaenyra, Alicent, Daemon. No one seems to really want the throne. Rhaenyra's kind of doing it because of this prophecy that they added into this show, but then she's not willing to fight for it anymore because she's lost so much, and she's like, Yeah,
because she says 2 boys who used to hide behind my skirts and all that have now died in order for me to sit on a throne of swords. And then Daemon goes, well, if you don't, they die in vain, because then it's all for nothing.
No one has a passion for it. Alicent did want the throne, technically, but now is no, Rhaenyra can have it, and Rhaenyra's I don't really want it either. Everyone keeps dying. It just doesn't feel like anyone's gunning for anything.
That's a fair point, actually, yeah. What do people want?
We want the passion.
And as ever, this comes from that this isn't, not that it's an excuse, but this isn't the primary story of this world. So even though there is a history book with plot points, it isn't Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So all these characters aren't as strong as the genuine characters are. These are historical characters that are being added to.
This is world building. They open themselves up to that by having Daemon having watched Game of Thrones. So that just annoys me that he points that out.
Yeah.
But we get her out of bed because Vhagar actually gets seen leaving King's Landing, and that's the go-ahead. They all saddle up and they get going. I really did actually enjoy Daemon hanging out with Ulf White and Hugh the Hammer.
First time they've been on screen together?
Yes.
They didn't go with her when she went to Harrenhal, did they?
We never saw them, no.
Because when he approaches them, I thought initially he was like, who the fuck are you? Like he almost had missed the memo on having extra dragon riders, but he seemingly knew who they were.
Yeah.
So Rhaenyra would have obviously had sent a letter go, I'm sending 3 dragon riders.
I love his disdain and his fire at them because like they're blunt instruments to him. Like it's kind of like how Jace was annoyed that people like get a dragon when he's meant to be the dragon guy. Daemon really is the dragon guy. Like that's his whole thing. So then having these like losers from the street when Daemon views himself the highest of the high, like he's so high Aemond looks up to him.
Yeah.
These 2 losers from the street are out here having dragons and he's like, I don't want these people to think like you're an idiot, you've already disobeyed me, but obviously we need them because we've given you nuclear weapons. It is very interesting, and it's probably the most interesting part of the episode to me.
And then Ulf obviously already not happy with his lot already. Like he seems very annoyed that Daemon's being so rude to him. We don't have enough from Ulf that would suggest that he would be annoyed by this. Well, he used to sell the story of, I'm their kin. So now that he actually is there, what, is he annoyed that he isn't being treated like an equal, a fellow dragon rider? Like did he expect that? That now he's a dragon rider, he's got the hair, it's going to be like, welcome home, cousin. But instead he's being treated like just a servant. But then my issue's like in a lot of these things, we just haven't seen enough.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. It just feels very scripted. They're ticking off something like, oh, remember this? Ulf seems awfully annoyed that he's not being respected.
Yeah, they're giving him a reason to have an interesting character moment, but obviously the camera's got to go. Like, we've got to follow Daemon down the hallway. Sorry, Ulf White and Hugh the Hammer, you guys just waiting there. And then when you fly off to King's Landing with Rhaenyra and Daemon, we're going to give you a shot of Hugh the Hammer's wife being like, wow, dragon, better flee.
Yeah.
And it's like, what, that's all we get for Hugh the Hammer as well? There could be a thing where like he goes and meets his wife and she's like, wow, you have a giant dragon now. That's crazy. Are we powerful now? But we've got 6 episodes left now. I don't think we have time for this. But I guess we are stuck in King's Landing for a lot. Like, we're not going to be going back and forth.
Managing being queen seems to probably be the arc that she's going, what they wanted to go for is now that she's finally queen, here's what actually it's like.
Which is what we did with Aegon last season, which we did like having Aegon be like, actually, I should be a good king.
Yeah.
But on Rhaenyra's queen, the White Worm and Daemon have a little sit down, and I guess Daemon picked up on the little lesbian, like, vibes in the room.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that the White Worm is this, like, eager. Not like for Rhaenyra's love and affection, but I guess we don't really know what she wants, but it obviously seems that she wants power, influence, and security that comes with power and influence. So making herself amenable to powerful people is a way of surviving.
That feels like what she used to do.
Yeah.
But now it kind of, to me, just felt like she actually was in love with Rhaenyra. And then this episode, she was like, remember who was loyal to you, which is definitely a little, like power grabby, but also like, please don't leave me behind in this dark, damp place that I've been stuck in since your husband, uncle brought me here and pretended I was pregnant. So like there's a lot going on with her again, but also, she kind of just stood there. It's a very boring conversation between Daemon and the White Worm because they're just sitting on the steps. But like the conversation really was, we're both banging Rhaenyra. Which one of us is going to win?
It really felt like an episode 10. Like just a calm down, everyone's kind of touch base. So Alicent, now that she's finally got rid of Vhagar and she knows that the Hightower people aren't coming, she can actually start doing it. So she kind of gets everyone on technicalities. Since Queen Helaena is now the ruling queen, she can now order, and she goes down to the City Watch, who are always sort of loyal to Daemon, and basically just says, hey, this is happening. It'd be good if we could have you on side.
I'm glad she walks in and says, sorry to disturb your gold cloaks.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it's clear. So dark in here and they're all naked. I can't tell where we are. I did forget he was loyal to Daemon, so that was a pretty good reveal.
Yeah.
But I wish it wasn't played as a reveal, because when it's like the last minute, like, oh, whose side is he going to be on? Daemon had just stormed a castle by himself, and that feels kind of insane. Whereas, if he suddenly rocked up and then him and the gold cloaks all walked in at the same time.
Yeah, they were there ready.
Would have made a bit more sense.
But they wanted
that big moment. Yeah.
Kind of the reverse of when Ned brought in the gold cloaks in season 1 and then Littlefinger She then goes up to all the turrets and all that, like going, hey, when you see those dragons, just let them fly on in. Do you really want to get burnt? Vhagar's not here anymore. No one's coming to save us. We're just going to have to surrender the throne to her.
Was she playing the angle that Vhagar had abandoned them too?
I don't know. I think she just said that Vhagar's gone.
The king has abdicated.
And Queen Helaena now wants this.
Yeah.
And 4 dragons are coming this way. You will die trying to save a king who isn't here.
Because I assume Vhagar didn't just leave. Aemond was like, hey guys, I'm going to go to Harrenhal, burn them. You guys stay cool, like make sure no one breaks into my castle.
I think I might like to keep chickens.
What do you think of Helaena? Because Helaena to me used to be that very wistful, like Luna Lovegoody, like, ooh, am I really here? But I guess Alice Rivers is doing that now. So Helena's been relegated to, she's special.
I don't like it. I mean, it's because they would have read the book and said, oh, Helaena just becomes kind of broken after the eldest one is killed. And then it's meant to be she's broken, Queen Alicent looks after her grandkids. So like, oh, we don't want that because that's kind of lame. Because then it's like 2 women are bedridden being sad about their dead kids.
What did Ryan Condor mean by this?
But instead it's like, so we'll just have her get over it and just sort of be whoever again. She's not anything.
That's what annoys me. It's like she's not broken. If anything, she's more together than she's ever been.
Yeah.
But she does seem like a child now. So instead of being like a wistful Luna Lovegood, she really is like, I like dragons and bugs, hee hee. And it's like, what? They've just lowered her mental capacity. It's just like they deleted her character. And I feel like there was at least the interesting, when she was giving prophecies, that was a fun thing to do. But yeah, now she's just like, I don't want the beast to be hurt. Although I did smile because that was fun. That was cute.
Yeah, like that's what and then she has some comment about how they'll just retire and...
She'll get chickens. I'm assuming the fandom is loving it and being like, leave Helaena alone. She just wants chickens.
Yeah, there'll be some fan art of her with chickens.
That's it. There'll be a cute fan art with her with like a big
Dream
dragon.
fires in the background. Yeah, sure.
This is what Sarah Hess wants.
Yeah. So Alicent's basically just, she depowers, she de-defenses the city. But then in trying to escape privately, Ironrod wants to get out the rod.
Is that his name? Is Ironrod?
He's called Ironrod because he has 12 sons. So everyone's like, he must have an iron rod.
Ah, well, in this he's rapey, and I forgot who he was. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, you're the Master of Laws.
The guy who always sat on the... Remember, we said he basically has a place only on that table and never gets to walk.
He was a jerk, sure, and like he was conniving. But this episode, they decided he should be rapey. I get him wanting to turn in Alicent, but he's like, oh, instead of turning her in immediately...
Before I turn you in, I'm going to have my way with you.
Yeah, because I guess they want us to think Alicent is innocent in all this. They're just getting all the blame off Alicent, and the easiest way to do that is to have her sexually assaulted.
Yes. That which isn't great, is it? How do we make this woman feel sympathetic or have a man...
Because he's a nothing man. He's not in the show for most of it. And then he dies 10 minutes later. But we cheered when Daemon killed him because he bad.
It's not that like, oh, making men rape. It's the fact that you're doing this to a very powerful, interesting female character, but in order to solicit some sympathy from us.
It's in the same vein of what I mentioned last week, how when you kill dragon, I sad. When you sexually assault woman, I angry at man who did it. And when he die, I cheer. Like, it feels very lizard brain.
Aemond goes to Harrenhal expecting to find Daemon and his army, only to find Daemon has purposely tricked him. They've drawn him out and then they've snuck under him, basically.
I'm just getting so sick of like dragons being stealth creatures. Did his spies not say, no, Daemon went back to Dragonstone? And he goes, oh, that's nearby. Wait, Daemon went back to Dragonstone. He should be able to see that from King's Landing.
And then I also question the logic of they knew Vhagar was coming. I know Daemon was like, I'm going to leave the army here, but it's cool because there's 3 other dragons somewhere. But you think he would be going to Rhaenyra? Like, we need to at least send Vermithor down there to fight Vhagar because the army that we've got coming needs a dragon to back it up if Vhagar comes. But Vhagar seemingly was, I guess you fly up high, you go, we're near Harrenhal and goes down. So the army have bypassed him. I mean, it's if they catch up with the Cole army. But I just feel like it's a big country. They probably will avoid them. Who knows?
Well, I mean, we haven't seen the topography. I think people only realize that was the Battle of the Fork because they mention it this episode, whereas I think that's meant to be like 5 different battles you were saying.
They put a lot of battles together.
Yeah, so they give it a name
for the sake of time.
So, and also because we don't know where anything is because geography doesn't really matter so much in this show.
They always struggle with geography in shows like this.
That's one of the reasons Game of Thrones was so impressive. And then Alicent gets captured trying to escape with Helaena, gets dragged back, and then we get the moment we talked about where Daemon goes down to the basement and he brings out a big old subscribe button. And Rhaenyra tries to subscribe, but she doesn't do it. She's too feeble. She hits it once, doesn't go through. She has to subscribe again to make sure she gets it. Rhaenyra had just killed Otto. Daemon had killed the other guy. And then she sits on the Iron Throne with snot coming out her nose, looking mighty strong. There's kind of a moment where I guess it clicks for her and she's like, I did it.
She's like, yeah, I did it. This is it. And I like how she sits on it. She sits on it in a pretty cool way, in that kind of feminine sort of manner.
When she did sit down, it did feel very feeble to me, but then, yeah, she kind of like cozies into it. That's where the episode ends. So let's go rewind all the way back to the very beginning of the episode where Corlys Velaryon is alive.
If this is victory, I don't want to have to see another one.
And he was sick of it before this war.
He's over it.
I'm too old for this shit.
And he's here now with his granddaughter and his 2 sons, and he effectively legitimizes them.
Yep, which he technically can't do. But, you know, hand to the king. No one's going to fight him on it, I'm sure.
No one's going to fight him on it.
When has Rhaenyra ever fought anyone?
True.
I enjoyed the line, Driftmark is burning, I can't give you any of my riches, but all I can give you is a name. And Alan's like, no, that's good. Please give me a name. It's a shame we haven't seen Driftmark recently. That was a nice set too.
Yeah, because they destroyed the set. In season 2, when they had him there, they had to like recreate with a green screen. They just did once. They didn't destroy. I think they just reused the space.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably the library now.
Although I will say about this episode, every set was used this episode because Rhaenyra has to make her way into the castle and Alicent's doing her plotting beforehand.
Yeah.
We see every single angle. Like, it's so good that these are real sets. Like, it's so fucking cool.
It is.
That they're like wandering through corridors and then they're like using wide shots and they can do anything. I'm sure there's some cleanup of like production trucks, but like you get to see so many angles of the castle in this one episode, which is very nice.
Yeah.
And you can actually kind of get the layout. We get the stairs shot.
Those stairs that
it's
always...
all very nice.
Yes. It's the classic thing with House of the Dragon is characters get 1 or 2 scenes. There is a bit of a moment between Baela and, I mean, obviously, Jesus, it's always weird to go into families, but technically that's her uncle.
Soon to be husband.
Spoilers.
Oh, I was guessing.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's their whole thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, they've
Spoilers,
set it up.
Sorry, I mean, but I was just making a joke that, yeah, these people just keep marrying each other.
Yeah, she's got nowhere else to marry anyway.
Yeah,
so.
and Corlys is always about, like, they remember names, not blood.
Yeah.
So that was his
but
whole
now he
character.
has 2 people who are of his blood at least. So.
And his character's fucking over, to be honest. Like, that whole group of people, Baela, Alan, Adam, Corlys, I don't really see them doing anything anymore. They're kind of done for me. Obviously, they're going to probably do some fighting and stuff, but character-wise, I'm like,
Yeah, we'll see where we go with that. Rhaena has now fled back to the Vale, fearing that she will be pursued. But the Lady of the Vale's like, I'm fucking tired of you guys already. But hey, it's a big fucking place. So, if the dragon wants to fly around the mountains, the dragon can fly around the mountains.
You can defend us. I just don't want to look at you because I kind of hate you.
Small aside, I was rewatching the opening, the first episode, and that lamb is tied down. It's like Rhaena was tying down the lamb. Because I was like, why is a sheep by itself? Oh, because she had done it. So they were doing it. They just weren't being clear with it. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Question numero uno. Why does everyone know Sheepstealer by name?
Sheepstealer, Bailey says.
Oh, yeah, like, I mean, I guess that, is it meant to be that it was on Dragonstone? They've all grown up on Dragonstone. They would have known of the wild dragon.
It was already called Sheepstealer, and then it flew north to steal more sheep.
Yeah, but it's weird that Rhaena didn't go, oh, is that where Sheepstealer ended up?
Yeah, it's just a dumb little thing for me. When Baela's like, Sheepstealer came, I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? And then last episode, Rhaena was like, Sheepstealer, calm. And I'm like, did you just meet this dragon and name it?
Yeah.
Like, send a raven, for fuck's sake. Ravens are instant because the Lady Arryn of the Vale knew that Jace was dead before Rhaena even landed back in the Vale. So maybe she did a little fly around trying to calm him down. But like, she got there and she's like, oh yeah, Jace is dead, by the way. I got a raven, lightning fast raven. I'm like, what the fuck?
Wild.
Anyway, sorry, I'm getting too annoyed at tiny things. Question numero 2. What is Rhaena going to do now? Because Rhaena has to get involved for anything to happen. Because what she should want to do is hide.
Plot-wise, she's not anywhere. Until the very end, her and Baela aren't doing... Yeah. Baela being, like, she does eventually start riding her dragon, but Baela riding her dragon at this point is off book. And that's Rhaena, literally, because nettles exist, Rhaena is just up in the Vale the whole time.
Right. We don't know where the 2 sons are. I think the Lady Arryn mentions that they're in Pentos now. Which is, again, kind of weird that why weren't they just in the ship battle? That would have, like, we already did the thing. Element. Why not do it?
Yeah.
But Rhaena thinks everyone's mad at her, so she should definitely just be hiding in the Vale forever now. And Sheepstealer should be nearby. Maybe she flies around. That's fun for her. But unless Rhaenyra sends someone to go hunt down Sheepstealer. Which it seems to be,
go find this rider, because there was a rider, so we need to find who this rogue rider is. And
we've had reports of a dragon in the Vale, and then, so it's very fetch questy. We're going to have to go get Rhaena.
I have to imagine
bring her
that's
back
what
in.
Baela's going to go do, right? Because what else is she going to do?
True.
Baela, go find her sheep. Did Baela see it? Was her sister? Or was it just Jace?
Jace knows but died. Rhaena thinks nobody saw her.
Yeah.
And for Baylor to have seen her, that's kind of wacky because that dragon's big, far away, smoke, whatever.
I didn't quite understand the logic of, like, she wants to roll up at full strength. I mean, I know it's like, oh, Adam's looking for Corlys, but you just think there would be this, well, hang on, if we're going to leave Dragonstone now to go to the Red Keep and Vhagar's over there with potentially attacking our army or other stronghold, we should at least send a dragon or two there, but I don't know, whatever.
But also, dragons are lightning quick in this show, so you could have them patrol, like, make them constantly just fly back and forth.
Yeah.
But again, time isn't real.
Time isn't real.
It's kind of annoying to my brain to tell it to stop thinking of, like, why doesn't Rhaenyra just get all her dragons and go to Harrenhal? Because she doesn't give a shit about Harrenhal. She can now kill Vhagar with all of her dragons.
Just get Vhagar off the board, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the only scary dragon. Get rid of that, then come back.
That's basically it.
This show doesn't want us to use dragons like actual, like, weapons. Surely, not easy, but, like, you could send 5 dragons.
Like, there's no concern that Ulf and Hugh are inexperienced dragon riders.
I was thinking that when they were there. I'm like, shouldn't they be at least training?
But we don't know how dragon riding works in this world.
Yeah.
It's just they're on top of it and the dragon just knows what it's doing, I guess.
They went for their joyride and then immediately went to the God's Eye.
Yeah.
And then, like, hung out there for 2 days.
And helped clean up at the Gullet, like because they were flying around at the start.
Oh.
They went to the Gullet and then
Right.
that's what turned the tide there is more dragons came and they
Right,
helped
okay.
win.
I figured we used the power of editing to win that fight,
Yeah,
where
no.
if we cut away, they can be like, hey guys, we won.
yeah.
We have 2 more things to cover. We have Aegon's little aside, because we can't go an episode without showing every single character.
We did miss talking about Aegon and Larys last week.
In fairness, they did the exact same this episode, except
did.
they actually got to escape this episode.
I did like the touch that the pirates have given up and those who escaped are now just simply raiding the coasts.
Basically, they've escaped into the forest.
Well, he wants to go to Rook's Rest to get Sunfire.
Well, he doesn't say that, and he doesn't allude to that. He says there's a garrison there, but if you've been paying attention, you'll know that Sunfire's there, so I guess he'll get there and we'll do some magical, like, he's been healing while Sunfire's been healing. I think he has to be alive as a non-book reader, because why else would they be like, hey, Aegon, you need to go to Rook's Rest?
Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense plot-wise, unless you have a thing that you're planning.
In the book, Aegon is off the board now.
I do still enjoy Larys, how he's like, I saved your life, like, stop being a prick.
I guess just because they've let the actor have more of a hair, he's just more handsome now.
He's lost a lot of his creep factor, but he is still conniving, which is something.
Everyone always just feels wafer thin, sadly.
Because he gets 30 seconds, yeah.
Exactly. And then at first we get Daemon is like happy, you know, because Daemon's always more comfortable when he's at war, so he's around all these, you know, men that he understands. Like, yeah.
And I think he genuinely likes the actor in real life that's playing the Winter Wolf, because whenever you see Daemon, like, just walking around singing, even when he's not really, like, on camera, he just looks happy. I'm like, that's so cute.
It makes sense for Daemon, because then we see later with the Go Cloaks how he's even happy to see him.
Yeah.
Like, soldiers and soldier talk makes sense to him, it seems.
Yep.
So he tells them, right, I have to go because now we're going to go do it. You march down and come to King's Landing. I think they will probably clash with Cole. That's what I'm expecting. And then Daemon has his touch with Alice Rivers. For me, it was like, okay, considering that we don't really know who this person is, and we don't really know if she's real, if she's a spirit, for her to then want practical rewards such as make me the Lady of Harrenhal
Yes. It's not witchy.
was slightly disappointing that it was like, oh, you're like a real person who wants a title.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're not going to give a midwife the castle. And so I was a bit like, okay, so you've kind of made her practical, I guess.
Yeah.
And then so Daemon leaves. Then, of course, we have a mirroring of when Daemon invaded Harrenhal. Once again, I looked at you. It's the first time we've seen that character in his armor. And it's funny because Human's such a skeletal kind of man.
I like that it kind of does mirror Daemon's. Like,
Yes.
it looks like he based his entire thing, and he doesn't have his eye patch on.
Yeah, I
so
loved it.
I love the twinkle whenever he's, like, in the dark.
I was going, oh, the Elric of Manibane you would have been. Because he literally
There's still
built-
time.
Yeah,
He's
there's still
young.
time. But, like, yeah, I just loved seeing it.
So that scene where he burns everyone, it didn't feel very impactful to me, maybe because we've had so much dragon perspective burning, and we've had almost no people perspective getting burned. Pacific Rim 1 versus 2. Pacific Rim 1, it's a people level perspective looking up. If I actually knew any of these soldiers that were looking up getting burned, that might be crazy. Like, whereas from Vhagar's perspective, Vhagar is going blah, blah. I'm like, oh, this is easy. Like, it's not...
It's easy when Vhagar's that big as well.
There's no horror to it, I guess, anymore.
I know Aemond and Daemon are meant to be fierce fighters, but Game of Thrones has never really been, and it's okay that we're doing this, has never really been a world where I feel like one guy can engage 8 people with ease. Like, both of them are Batman almost.
Yes, I'm okay with it then because rule of cool, I think.
Yeah.
And also both were kind of caught by surprise.
Yeah, both got Valyrian steel.
Yeah, and the choreography was good enough for me.
Yes, it
Like,
was.
I think at one point Daemon like palms a sword. So yeah, he actually does take on 2 people at the same time. It's not them waiting.
It's nice to have Sir Simon back, and I knew it was coming. But I did think for a second they were even going to have him go, I'm claiming Harrenhal, like literally say what Daemon said. But because Aemond lives in this weird... Because he's such an interesting character that, once again, we don't get enough of, where he seems to have these weird rules of engagement. The reason why he's so strong is because he thinks that that's what it has to be. You have to be the best killer, the best dragon rider, and then people will respect you. So when he gets there going, I want to take Harrenhal, the way that works is I need to kill you because you're the Lord.
Yeah.
And Simon's trying to do what Simon does. He's like, mate, just have it. It's all, he goes, it's all good. You can just have it.
It does feel like he should have wanted an honorable way because he needs to be.
Yeah.
Instead, he just like kills this old man and then kills the other one
and then gets
stabbed.
And then obviously Alice appears and he's like, oh, help me.
Which I didn't love the help me. I think he would just go down and then she'd see an opportunity and be like, Daemon V2.
Help me, mother. Like maybe he's delirious, but whatever.
Well, it felt written to me because we needed him to get stabbed so that she could look after him. And then we could do Aemond, Daemon, Harrenhal V2, Electric Boogaloo.
And it's done because it's a small thing and I get it. I mean, I've never had to stab someone in the back before, but I think if I've got a free shot, he took his helmet off. So I was like, why didn't you just go for the neck? You had a free shot. Neck.
Yeah, at least they did go under the armor, as in like they kind of showed it.
Well, it's kind of annoying now because we also saw Black Ally with Daemon. She's the woman with the...
I could tell she was someone because they forefronted her.
I don't think we're getting Bloody Ben, sadly, who I was keen for.
Oh, the little fucked up looking
I think they're
kid.
just putting that in Tully, making him the one kid.
Yeah.
But Black Ally is here and she's a Blackwood.
Yeah.
And so it's a bit disappointing, but it would have been cool to just see a little lord with a crow cloak, but whatever, it's just fan service at that point. And also it'd be just another character we'd get a minute of across 6 episodes.
Yes.
So whatever. Well, I do hope now that we've kind of like, I doubt we're going to see much of the Tullys except if we run into Cole.
You're hoping we're trimming the fat.
A little bit, right? I mean, my prediction is that Baelor will go in search of this dragon and it will be Baelor and Rhaena, sisters coming together again and all
she'll
that.
go, it was a misunderstanding, and she'll go, oh, okay, I forgive you.
And then I have to imagine Corlys has to be Hand of the Queen, or will he be rebuilding High Tide and relationships with his sons? Who knows?
They're all going to go to King's Landing, hopefully, and then we don't have to jump around so much.
I think that would be wise, because then we're all in one place. Like I told you 2 years ago, this is when Rhaenyra and Alicent could have had that chat if we were following it, because now they're in the same place.
They could have that misunderstanding now.
I guess for the optics of it, she has to keep Alicent and Helaena as hostage, because where the fuck's Aegon? You promised me Aegon, so, and where's, you know, all that
I'm pretty
stuff.
sure we went pretty deep into the fact that she has to kill everyone as optics. Like, you can't leave the Queen
Which is
Mother
why I was
alive.
surprised if Alicent's... I mean, I know it's one thing to agree that your father has to die and then see him dead right there, but it seemed to be that face of like, the fuck, this wasn't the
believe
deal.
you've done this.
Yeah, I was like, it literally was the deal, though.
I mean, she was
Like,
also supposed to escape, maybe? Or was that not part of the deal? Was she supposed to...
I guess it's because she didn't know where her father was, so that's the surprise.
Yes. We didn't see Daeron.
The status quo is now changed, where now we have Queen Rhaenyra, Aemond's in Harrenhal, going to do like an echo of that, except now it's going to... because he's got a mother thing, Alice is going to play into that.
Looking forward to it, to be honest.
We'll see how that goes. What gets me interested is now Daemon's in there, where we're going to go with that. I mean, I hope it's just not going to be like some love triangle stuff.
Because you're making Daemon sit still, and that's not what he's good at.
Are we going to have a time jump? Are we going to be a few weeks in? Because I feel like it's going to be Rhaenyra finally gets to rule, so now she gets to see what this is like. You've won the war, or you essentially, you know, effectively you have, kind of. I mean, there's, you know, you've got the High Towers coming up, but you've got the dragons.
You've got the big castle too. Game of Thrones did that to great effect with Dany, because we were cutting across the ocean. When they'd cut back to Daenerys, they'd be like, 3 weeks have passed.
Yeah.
All hell is broken loose.
Yeah.
Sons of the Harpy are a thing now. But I don't think we're going to do it, to be honest. The show kind of seems locked into its timeline now.
Yeah, and with Alicent also.
It's going to be a lot of talking.
Yeah, which is fine.
It might be what we need.
I'm still hopeful that the show will get on. I think the first episode had the advantage of being the dramatic big opener, but this one felt, I think, we had to just get these characters in position. And I'm hoping that, some fat is going to be trimmed now and we can focus in, because personally, I'm looking forward, I think, to having Aemond alone in the castle. We can actually focus on him.
I would be if we hadn't already just done that with Daemon, and I've seen the outcome.
But if next episode is cutting to, it will be. It's going to be cutting to Aegon for 2 minutes as they're on the way to Rook's Rest.
Yep.
Or maybe they get to Rook's Rest and he gets to see Sunfire. Also, both the podcast and I guess the official podcast, they seem to be quite determined that Aegon and Larys are going to be like the new duo on an adventure, like the equivalent of the Hound and Arya, or like Dunk and Egg. It's like I don't really feel they have a funny. No. I did think it was interesting in that when we missed it, it was the actor who refused to kneel. That in the script, Aegon was meant to kneel, but the actor Tom felt that he wouldn't kneel. Yes, the great Honourable Aegon, who saw his bastards fighting each other just a few weeks ago, he won't kneel to save his own skin.
So that's just a case of the actor wanting to do an interesting choice and everyone applauding him, but actually he's kind of wrong. But yeah, so they're in a better position with less fat to do more stuff. But that echoes what we've been saying for the last 2 years, which is, now we're in a good position to do stuff.
It feels like it's going to be Corlys rebuilding with the family. It feels like it's going to be Baelor and Rhaena trying to come back together. Aemon's going to be dealing with this over here. And then what Otto Hightower is going to be doing, because clearly he's going to realise there's been a ruse. I thought he felt that it was a lie, but actually it's because he's such a neat, clean freak. He got annoyed with the dirt. So I like those elements of him. So I'm keen to see where he comes with Daemon and what that looks like. For me personally, it was a bit of a nothing episode. And I'm not saying everything needs... I mean, obviously things happened. It's definitely going to be interesting now in the next 6.
We moved the plot at least.
We moved it forward, but it was still all those bad habits that this show has. I think as an episode, it had good moments. I think Emma Darcy did a wonderful job being like the snot and all that is cool, and I never questioned the acting. I think everyone's pretty on it. We've skipped over so many things. So many things have been implied or just, you get it right, audience. There just hasn't been enough connection. Like Rhaenyra and Aegon have never interacted sufficiently with each other.
When she ends this episode with "Bring me Aegon, the usurper," I was like, that guy that you've never spoken to in the show?
Yeah, that you have no relationship with.
Because you've been focused on Alicent. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. Not optimistic so much as like, everything should be in place now, so we'll see what they actually do with it.
It's nice to go, I don't know where we're going to go for 6 episodes. Like, I mean,
to a point.
Where they're going to go, I should say.
Yeah. But what did you all think? And we'll catch you next week. Thank you very much.